Welcome to the High Level People Podcast with your host, PJ Crescenzo. This is the show where every week we go inside the minds of modern market leaders. I'm talking world-class operators, entrepreneurs, thought leaders, people who are making an impact on ministry. The question is, if you're going to compete, why not compete at the highest level possible? And that's what this show is designed for, to give you a playbook for your life so that you can continue to climb levels week after week. This is the High Level People Podcast, and welcome to today's episode. Welcome to the High Level People Podcast. Today I have Adam Roach, who is known as the coach of coaches. Just before the show started, we established not only is he a husband, a father, a believer, but he is somebody who is passionate about having more impact on significance than success. So I'm excited today to go deep on coaching, mindset, faith, entrepreneurship, and everything you need to know to go to the next level. Adam, welcome to the show.
PJ, brother, I'm excited to be here. Let's roll, man. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, come on, let's get after it. All right, so question number one. In the world of coaching, what separates a good coach from a great coach?
Simple answer. But I don't know if we're on rapid fire, how long I can
you
go.
have time. Open it up. Peel back the layers. Peel back the onions.
Well, let's talk about the difference between good and great, right? We know our man, Mr. Collins wrote that book, Good to Great, and let's talk about what that really is. Because I've seen good, bad, and ugly. My father was an Olympic swim coach. I've been around coaching my entire life, whether it was being coached or coaching. I played tennis as a kid. I played all sports growing up in Indiana, but tennis was the one that stuck. It took me to Division I school at IU. I went and tried to play professional tennis and found out real quick that I was an American, not a European, PJ, and I was getting my butt kicked. So that was me not being very coachable at the time. But nevertheless, I was being realistic. So let's talk about what is the difference between a good coach and a great coach. With our community, so fast forward to 2019. My dad had been my coach my entire life of all things. Life, sports, just being a man. And he passed from Parkinson's-related issues in the age. He was in his 60s, right? So way too early. But the good Lord had a reason. And as this was going down, John Maxwell's always been a dear mentor, coach of mine for the last 12 plus years. And we were having a conversation. He was there for me, shoulder, ear, whatever I needed, whenever I needed it. And he asked me a question before. This was like a week or two before I was going to go speak the eulogy at my dad's funeral. He said, Adam, I know you're going through a really hard time right now. He says, but I want to lay something on your heart. That's okay. He says, I know the success you've had in life. He says, but when are you going to focus as much on significance as you do success? And I was like, all right. Let me digest that for a second, John. Because I didn't really understand what that meant, because at the time I owned real estate franchises. I had a SaaS model that was crushing it financial. We were having massive impact on thousands and thousands of people, right? But I can tell you, I built a real estate brokerage from 100 and some people, and when I exited it, we had nearly 800 people. And PJ, I could walk through the halls, and looking back on it today, everyone knew my name, but I didn't know their names.
Wow.
And so he asked me that question, when are you going to focus on significance? That's okay. But I didn't really know what it meant. So here I am speaking at my dad's funeral. And there was 400 or 500 people there, PJ. And this man comes up to me after the end of my eulogy. And he has this old school cassette tape player. Remember those? They were like rectangle, up, and you put it in there, you push it down, and you push play, right? Old school.
The actual mechanics were just
man.
Sound of the music.
And he said this. He said, listen, you push play. It was my dad's voice. And all my dad's voice was saying, go, 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 right? And Tim, this man, was a breaststroker. And if you know anything about breaststrokes, where you go up, you go down, you go up, you go down. And he said, I put that on the side of the deck of the pool, at the pool. He said, I did that in 1987 or something like that, right? 1986. And he said, because I could always hear your dad's voice as I was going up and down and up and down. He said, but I knew if I missed your dad's voice, if the cadence was off, I needed to go faster, right? I needed to catch up to his voice. He said, so I put it on the side of the deck. And he said, your dad's voice would increase when he knew I needed to go faster, right? And so he said, I've kept that for all these years because as a coach now himself, he says, I use that for my own framework to coach my own kids, okay? All right, so now it's hitting me, right? Not only is Maxwell's words hitting me, but now I'm starting to see what John talks about with the word legacy. He says, you can't have a legacy unless you have legs. And he says, and I shared this story with him. And he says, Adam, that's what I've been asking you. That's what I've been asking you. When are you going to have significance like your father? Right? This man hadn't swam for your dad in 30 plus years, but yet he carries around a cassette tape of your dad's voice. He says, so when are you going to do that? Okay, I'm going to answer your question here. So, brother, I went deep into scripture. I went deep into prayer. I went deep into what we call the beach chair moment here in Charleston for my I Love Coaching community now. And I kept hearing, surround yourself with better people. Surround yourself with better people. And I kept writing it down. I went to the beach. The beach chair moment looks like this. I had my Bible with me, my journal with me. I had water with me. I had sunscreen for my bald head. And brother, I just sat there and I prayed and I cried and I wrote and I just listened, right? I paused. I got silent. And I kept hearing, surround yourself with better people. And I didn't know what that meant. So I went to my pastor. And I said, hey, you always tell me that if I think I'm hearing God, I need to lay it up on scripture, but I need your help to go find this in scripture. He's like, that's easy. And I keep it right here on my wall. Proverbs 13:20. Walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm. I thought, I just got goosebumps. And he said, let me ask you, who do you surround yourself with? And I said, well, I own these franchises. And he says, have you ever considered selling them? This is my pastor asking me this, right? And I said, no, why would I ever consider selling them? He says, lean into scripture. If you think you're hearing God, and he's saying surround yourself with better people. Scripture says surround yourself and walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm. He said, I'm not going to tell you what to do with your business, but you better listen. So I surrendered, brother. I surrendered. I walked into my investor meetings. I put them back to back to back. And I said, guys, easy conversation today. Either I'm buying you out or you're buying me out. And I am surrendering to this process. You decide, not me. You decide. I own the majority of these, and I don't care if you buy me out. I know how that process is going to work. We have an operating agreement. It's going to follow that. They all decided to buy me out, PJ, which was fantastic. And I started writing the white paper on the I Love Coaching community. I'm going to answer the question right now. What's the difference between a good coach and a great coach? I believe a great coach is what I call a real coach, REAL. REAL is an acronym that stands for relevant, experiential, authentic, leader. Relevant, experiential, authentic, leader. You can't go coach someone. You can't go into a space of influence with someone if you don't have relevance. If you don't have relevance in there, you're lying, right? You can't do it. If you come to me and say,
authentic. How do you be authentic without relevance and experience?
If you come to me right now and say, Adam, brother, I need your help to go make $1 billion. I've never done it. So I can't help you. I'm not your coach, right? Experience. You've got to have the experience in the space of what we call the problem solution cycle. And if you think about it, a generalist makes money. A specialist makes more money. So when you understand what your relevance and your experience is, that leads to the authenticness, and that's easy because you can show up yourself. And the last one is the hardest one, leader, right? Because what is a leader? A leader is an influencer. What's an influencer? An influencer gets someone to take action. So if you are coaching someone and they're not taking action, you're falling flat on the L part. Don't show up and be someone's friend if you're their coach. Show up and get them to take action.
Can I go a step deeper there? So I think about how many times people come for the information, right? And I've heard that quote, people don't pay for the information, they pay for the implementation. But how do you coach, teach, lead that transfer to be enhanced, right? How do you take a coach that says, oh, none of my clients are doing what I tell them to do? What's your feedback to that leader or coach?
Great question. So what I would do is, if you and I were in this situation, and you say, hey, I got 10 one-on-one coaching clients and I'm coaching them and none of them are taking action, okay? And this happens all the time. And then the first question I would ask has nothing to do with your clients, has everything to do with you, right? Is, are you connected to them?
Ooh.
How are you connected to them? What are you doing to add connection to them other than just taking their freaking money every single month?
Wow.
How are you connected to them? Because there is a level of trust. You have to build trust with your clients. And if they don't trust you, why would they follow you? If they don't follow you, they're not going to do what you tell them to do at all.
All right, so to go a step deeper, and this is important to me, so just to give you a framework, right? I'm not a direct coach, but sales leader, anybody in sales leadership, you have dozens of people that are looking to you for influence. So what is your advice on step one of building a connection? Is it learn about their family? Because I think it's something that can be foreign, kind of like the integration of faith and business into one environment, even the connection of bringing somebody's personal life into the professional landscape. Sometimes it feels awkward. Sometimes it feels weird. So what's your advice, just to finish this thread out, of how does a coach build personal connection with their clients?
So the first thing you have to ask yourself, and I call it the trust ledger, right? You're a man. You're a money man. You're a money man. You understand ledgers, right?
Yep.
For those that don't understand ledger, it's old school accounting. You got deposits and withdrawals. It's very simple, right? And so I call it that. It's the trust ledger. And the trust ledger says, how many deposits does it take before you can ask for a withdrawal?
Wow.
How many?
Oh.
Right? How many?
Because some people might require more deposits.
That's right. That's right. And it's your job, Mr. or Mrs. Coach, to understand how much deposits it takes.
You know, it's incredible, even before this call, and I know this is going to come out weeks after this moment in time, but I just went to take a withdrawal without enough deposits.
Happens all the time.
And that framework is so helpful. I'm like, you know what? I don't know if I've actually made any deposits, and I just tried to get a withdrawal.
Yeah. So when I do a keynote on that topic, I have a cousin who's a comedian. And he used to have this old bit, and it was funny back in the day. I don't know how funny it is now, but it's relevant to this. And he says, you know what? His name is Jeff Bodart, by the way. For listeners, go find him. He's been in the comedy space now for 25, 30 years, and he's absolutely hilarious. He just moved out of his parents' basement. No, I'm kidding, but that's kind of what he says. And he has this bit, and he says, you know what? The bank called me the other day. And he's like, you know, my institutions don't call me that frequently. He says, and they called me, and they said, Mr. Bodart, we want to let you know that your account's outstanding. And he says, you know, I appreciate the call. Not many people call me and tell me, you know, my accounts are doing as well as they're doing. So thank you. And they're like, what are you talking about? And he's like, well, you told me my account is outstanding. That's great. And they said, no, you have no money. And he's like, well, that's BS. I've got like 12 checks left. You know, and so silly, but you got to make deposits, right? Got to make deposits. Good. Yep. So how do you build trust in someone is you got to start in the deposit space.
All right, so I see a stack of books behind you. I see the mention of John Maxwell. That's where we connected at a John Maxwell event.
Yep.
Walk me through your development. Actually, I have a twofold question. So one, walk me through your development and journey through personal development. Book recommendations, key impacts. Like as you reflect back on your journey, were there some big Kairos moments? So obviously legacy. I don't know if I'll ever forget that. What are some other things that come to mind if I'm starting out as an entrepreneur and a coach and I want to extract some insights from your journey of what's had a big impact on you?
So first thing I will say is get the F away from whys. Okay? I don't believe in whys. I do not believe in whys. And here's why. Because I believe in who's. Right? I believe in who's before whys. You can create a North Star. A North Star is a directional path. And to get to that North Star, you're going to need navigational tools. The number one navigational tool to get you to your North Star is a who, not a why. Because a why is emotional. A why is something that tugs at the heart. That's cool. All right, that's cool. But how many freaking times have you let yourself down? You have.
Wow.
You let yourself down every single day. Listen, I got a fitness coach. I got a nutritionist. I have 6 coaches in my life right now. Bro, I just went home before this podcast and I had a cookie. I wasn't supposed to have a cookie, but I knew that I was like, hey, you know what? It's okay. It's Friday and I'm going to make it up over the weekend. I let myself down because I knew I wasn't supposed to do that, right? You got to have a North Star. And then you got to fill that navigational, directional approach with the right who or whose. Okay? So looking back on this, leaving my house My dad was always the who, right? I'll back up a little bit. So I am the grandson and great-grandson of like farmers from Indiana, like big time 2,000 plus acre farmers. Okay. My grandfather, I never met my great-grandfather. My grandfather farmed like 2,000 acres, corn, soybeans, chickens, cows. You know, going to grandpa's house was kind of cool because that wasn't our lifestyle. But man, I got to watch him work hard. I got to watch him work hard, bust his ass day and night, sun up, sun down, just like the freaking movies. And he was the who in my life for getting your hands dirty and labor, right? Labor, just doing the work. My father was my coach, my who at that moment of time, of connecting, of building trust. I didn't know it back then, but I watched it, right? As I look back on it now, we would have swimmers staying with us all the time to when the Olympics were coming around, to train and go to the Olympic trials. And these swimmers would live with us. I was a young kid. I thought it was kind of cool that we had these I don't know, teenagers, 20-something.
Great influence. That's so cool.
Yeah.
To have the proximity to talent and competitiveness.
Yep. And then as I got into the business world, my early mentors were business people, and they were, ironically, and nothing against any kind of religion, they were Jewish mentors, right? One was a cantor, a singing rabbi, and they were partners of mine in my first business venture, which is called Beverly Hills Tennis, and that was so fascinating, right? So I got to learn a lot from those who's at that moment in time, and it probably wasn't until, let's see, that would have been late 90s, early 2000s. Probably wasn't today, this is 2026. 26 years ago is when I probably started actually reading, right? Wow, it's coming through college, coming through all those things. You know, reading to me was a waste of time because the professors told us to do it, and they didn't make any deposits in me. They were just trying to get me to move along so they could get more tuition, right? And man, I just started reading the basic of the basics, right? The basics of the basics. Everyone's heard How to Win Friends and Influence People, Robert Kiyosaki, right? Any of those simple little foundational building books. But here's the thing, and I get to share this now with my son and my daughter. If you don't have a North Star, these books don't mean anything. You're just reading to read.
Wow.
Be intentional.
So much.
Yeah, be intentional. Right? Get up there. Know where it is you're looking to grow to, right? My son is now 18. He's going to be 18 in 9 days.
Happy early birthday.
Crazy.
Great job having a child survive to 18. That's an accomplishment.
Right? Yeah. And they both go to Tennis Academy here in Charleston. And what that means is they're homeschooled. They go there and they play 6 hours of tennis a day during the school year. They do go to school there, but it's homeschooled school. And so they do school in 3 hours. So they have 9-hour days all day, every day. And their North Star is to go to college and have college pay for their tuition. That is something we've laid out for them along the way. So that being said, is my son going to go read a Harry Potter book? Probably not. He wants to read something that is attached to his North Star.
Champion's Mind, Pete Sampras, Open,
Dad, who can I go meet?
Come on.
Dad, who can I go meet that can help me get to that North Star faster? Not why, it's who. Who can I meet?
So let me ask you a question. So I know the original question was some Kairos moments within your journey of personal development. Yep. I love the big principle that was shared, which is almost controversial in the world of entrepreneurship, which is who, not why, right? I mean, that's, you could have debates about that all day long.
All day. Bring it.
So I want to extract this, and this is beneficial to me personally, right? If you have multiple who's that you want to become, obviously as faith-driven entrepreneurs, we want to resemble Christ. There's one person we're trying to embody and be like.
That's right.
Well, let's say I want to get practical, right? And I'm trying to just go on a discovery of what's right for me in this season of my family. What framework, advice, questions, prompts, how would you guide somebody in the discovery process if they're trying to reinvent themselves or figure out who should I become next, especially somebody who's sold a business, been in different industries, had to reinvent yourself? What is the best way to kind of go through that self-discovery process of trying to figure out who should I emulate?
First thing I would say, though, is embrace your identity crisis. Embrace it. Embrace it. Embrace it, because you are in an identity crisis, okay? Embrace it. Secondly, let's just stay with Jesus. if you want to be like Jesus, if you want to emulate him, stay in the Bible. Stay there. Stay there. There is no need to get out of any other book than that. Stay there. You don't need another who. You really don't. You really don't. So when I think the word you use is practical, that is practical.
Come on.
That is practical. It's practical. I'll give you. Let me share that. Okay, so 2 years ago. So I've raised my kids in the church, and growing up, I was a good Catholic boy. But man, I didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea. There was no education. It was all, man, I was scared to death, literally of God. I was scared to death. And as soon as I get my driver's license, I was gone. I didn't go back. And when I went out to LA in Beverly Hills, as I mentioned, my mentors and my business partners were Jewish. One was a cantor, so he was a singing rabbi, and I would go with him to temple all the freaking time. No idea what they were saying. No idea. I didn't speak Hebrew. But I would go to everything, right? And I was immersing myself in that culture, in that world. And then I come to South Carolina. I live in Charleston now. And so I jokingly say that I was raised a good Catholic boy. I've got some good Jewish traditions, and now I'm a Christian, right?
You got the trifecta, bro. That's another example of the Trinity.
That's right, exactly. My son, at this time, he was 16, and he was heading off to a tennis tournament. And this is how my son talks to me. He texts me. He's like, yo. He always says, yo, Pops. Okay, yo, what's up, buddy? He says, I forgot to tell you. This is a text message. I forgot to tell you. And we don't press upon them, go to church. We impress upon them to build the foundation of your life that is centered around God.
I love that you just said press versus impress.
That's right.
That's a powerful delineation, even the difference of how your energy is being transmitted.
Totally. So he texts me. And now, let me give a little background here. His mom and I are divorced, and we have been for 12 years. And so, but her new world is non-believers. They're non-believers, and no judgment on that. That's just the environment that they have. And then Dana and I, my wife and I, are massive. I mean, God and Jesus are our world, right? Okay, so they have two completely polar opposite worlds. So Addison's driving or riding to a tennis tournament with the tournament team, and he texts me and says, "Yo, Pops." I said, "Yeah." He said, "I forgot to tell you something." Okay. So I'm thinking it's laundry, or, he's got some dirty clothes somewhere that are in the back of his truck and it's going to be stinking and moldy and something. So that's where my head's going, right? And he said, "I'm ready to give my life to Christ."
Come on.
And I was like, what?
Greatest sale of your life. Greatest sale of your career.
And I was like, buddy. And now I pick up the phone and call him. And I was like, listen, this is a phone call, not a text message. And I said, I am beyond proud and grateful for you. Great job. And he said, "Dad, can I ask you a question?" I said, "Sure." He said, "Were you ever baptized?" I said, "Yes, I was baptized as a good little Catholic baby, but I don't remember anything." He said, "Have you ever considered doing it as an adult?" I said, "Absolutely. I can think about it all the time." He said, "Would you do it with me?" I said, "Would I do it with you?" I said, "Absolutely, I would do it with you." And so the point of that story is the who there was Jesus. The who was the North Star, the path. He wanted to give his life to Christ. I said, buddy, we're going to have the biggest party in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina has ever seen when it comes to anybody getting baptized. We had Brandon Lake's dad do the baptism in the ocean. No kidding. It was the hottest day on record in South Carolina. And so, or Charleston. And I say jokingly, we gave our lives to Christ when it was hot as hell outside. And brother, it was just so powerful because he understood, right? He understood his North Star. He understood his who. And at the end of the day, if you want to be like Jesus, great. Stay in the Bible. You don't need any other books. You don't need any other books because all these books, if you really pay attention to them, are laid upon, some of them should be laid upon the foundation of the Bible.
What do you think prevents the lukewarm modern leader in business from going to the next rung and turning up the heat?
In religion or just in general?
And just the relationship with Christ, right? So I think about people we do business with every day, and you can see, I mean, even that event we were at, right? The power of, I believe in God and I run a business versus I love Jesus. And
I got to stand up for this one. Hold on. Let me stand up for this one. Yeah, we're getting serious now.
Yeah, please. Like, where do you think that passing of the threshold comes? What keeps the ankle chain to being timid about going deeper, and the foreignness of opening the word and the foreignness of praying? Where do you see maybe some of that hesitation and resistance, and where is the opportunity for the leaders in business to really lean in and use this as a strategy?
Love it. I'm gonna give this in a simple answer, but there are three options, right? And the three options are, the simple answer is stop making it about yourself. Stop making it about yourself. The fact that you're not leaning into this is a key indicator that you are worried about what other people think about you. So stop making it about yourself. So what does that mean then? We have to look at it through the lens of these three things. You're either fearing rejection. So if I start talking about God in my business, people are going to reject me. Number two, I have a fear of judgment. People are going to judge me. And the last one, which is the most powerful one, is the fear of success in that space. Right? The fear of success. I'll give you an example. There's an organization that I belong to that is a very large community, very large organization that doesn't have a lot of faith components to it, right? If we look at their pillars, faith is not one of them. And they want to grow. They want to grow by 5x the size that they are, so they reached out to me. And they were like, would you ever consider doing something like this? Now, I'm unemployable. You can't employ me, right? And it's not from an ego standpoint. It's just, I'm a tornado, right? I'm going to come in, I'm going to break some stuff, and then we're going to rebuild it, and it's not going to be pretty, and I'm probably going to make a lot of enemies along the way, and I don't care. And I prayed on it, man. And I prayed on it so much. And I said, God, tell me, tell me, why is this coming into my world? Every morning I go for a 30-minute walk by myself. I have for the last 6 years, by myself. No music, no podcast, nothing in my ear. I go for a walk. I listen for 10 things, 5 a.m. every morning. I listen for 10 things that I can identify. A bird, a frog, a boat, a car, a truck, someone having a conversation. I'll listen for 10 things I can identify, and then I start praying. And so the last couple of days, I just started praying. And I said, why is this coming into my world? Right? Why is this coming into my world? And then it hit me. I thought, whoa, for 13 years I've been a part of this organization. And for 13 years I've always asked the question, why is there not a religious component, spiritual component inside of this organization? And they want me to help them grow from 1,000 to 5,000 members. Guess who gets to help bring the word?
Let's go.
Guess who gets to help bring the word?
Adam Revival Roach. Come on, baby.
And I'm sharing that, and I haven't said yes. I don't know if I even will, but I heard loud and clear. I'm giving you a boat here to become a fisher of men, right?
Come on.
That's what you get to become, as a fisher of men. So why don't people do that more? Is because they're making it about themselves. Why don't more people have success on social media? It's the same thing. They make it about themselves. When you are building your social media world, when you can step into a space of serving other people, that your language, your posts, your reels, or whatever are for other people. Come on. That makes it so much easier. So when you have a spiritual lane and you're avoiding it, I'm going to call you a coward right now. Wow. You may not agree with me. I'm going to call you a coward. Right? Your job is to move the kingdom forward. We have two roles in our lives, right? Purpose and assignment. Purpose is to lead and move the kingdom forward. Assignment is to grow where he has given you gifts. That's it.
Bro, that's so powerful. This is so fruitful for my own journey, even though that's not the intention, it's for all the listeners. But because we were not selfish, we did this for the listeners. I got to reap some benefits in the process. All right, so let's end with this. I know we're tight on time, so I want to ask two final questions. Number one, actually, you get to pick. I'm going to give you the option to pick. Would you rather answer, what do you wish you knew when you started as an entrepreneur? Or would you rather answer, what's the most important lesson you've learned from John Maxwell?
Well, I think we can go with B because we started the podcast that way.
Okay. All right. I like it.
Why don't we go with that? Yeah. Why don't we go with that? And that's kind of been the premise of this whole thing is success over significance.
Okay.
Right. And it kind of ties into what we were just talking about. When I chased success, I got my first taste of a distribution because I had a K1 in the early 2000s. And I thought, whoa, that's what that means to make money while not working, is the business works for you. That's kind of cool. And I went on this mission to collect as many K1s as I could. Man, I wanted to just have as many streams, as many businesses as I could. And I did. I did well. I did really well. So much so that when I got divorced, half of it went away. One of my mentors said, hey, the fastest way to lose your millionaire status is to go get divorced. I was like, I'm not getting divorced. Well, 2 years later, I got divorced. Wow. And net worth got cut in half, right? And she got $18,000 a month for 10 years. Right? $18,000 a month for 10 years. Why? Because I chased success, right? And I do believe that happened for a reason. Right? That's the good Lord's way of saying, hey, I showed you can make this. You have gifts to do it, but you did it all for the wrong reasons.
Come on.
You did it because you were idolizing money. And so in that way, I'm going to show you how fast you can do it, but I'm also going to show you how fast it can go away. That's what I took from this, right? That's what I took from it. So when John asked me the success and significance question, and I sold everything, man, it was scary. It was scary. Because it was like, okay, for the first time, I'm making this not about me. I got to go make it about others. How do I do that? And man, that's what I poured my knowledge and my life into, was how do I serve other people? Let's go like Jesus. How do I serve other people and bring significance into their life like he did, right? And so that was 2019. Here we are 2026, and we have now served coaches on 4 different continents. Bro, we've served coaches on continents I've never even been to. And it's like, whoa, that's pretty cool. But it's not because of me. We have a vision statement inside of the I Love Coaching community that goes like this. To empower coaches. That's not me. That's the community. To empower coaches to change and serve 100 million people using our real coach method. Relevant, experiential, authentic leaders. None of that has anything to do with me. None of it.
Come on, bro.
None of it. There's no Adam Roach on anything. It's not about me. It's about them. So when you chase significance, success follows.
Well, thank you for not being a coward. Thank you for being willing to do it right, because you've impacted me. You've impacted somebody that coaches me. You've impacted the community that he coaches. So I think that's like 45 out of the 100 million, but we're making a dent. We're making a dent in society. So, bro, thank you so much. What's the best way for people to connect with you if they want to connect with you?
Anywhere in the world, Adam R. Roach, right? Middle initial R, that's my other grandfather's name, Ray. My first grandfather's name was Adam, so Adam R. Roach. That's Instagram, that's YouTube. Go find us at ilovecoachingco.com. There's a C-O before you get to the .com because that stands for community. And yeah, man, happy to serve any of your listeners that are there today.
Come on. Thank you so much for the time, brother. God bless, and hope you have an amazing day.
Let's go. See you, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of the High Level People podcast. If you learned anything from today's content, or if it made a positive impact on your life in any way, please feel free to subscribe on your favorite platform. More importantly, if you think there's somebody in your life who would benefit from today's episode, please shoot them a link, encourage them to do the same, encourage them to subscribe, because every week we're committed to adding value. I look forward to seeing you soon. Hope you guys have a blessed day, blessed week, and let's go.